What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the current affairs and hottest news with a touch of what, Terence?
A touch of Singaporean humor.
Not just Singaporean lah, bro.
I know.
Global.
I know.
We go global.
And then,
I think it must be global.
Literally, we are getting PMs from people in Germany, people in Canada, saying that they listen to our podcast, not because they're Singaporean, but because we talk about Singapore topics in a way that even for them it's quite interesting, just to understand how people in Singapore are thinking and behaving.
Yeah, and because I think some of them mentioned that they're thinking of coming to Singapore, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so STB, hit us up, Singapore Tourism Board.
Basically, we're saying if you pay us enough money, we'll say good stuff about Singapore lah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reading between the lines.
Yeah. That's essentially what we're saying. But besides that, what else do we need to tell you all?
We got a plug today, and all we can say is it's the time for you to help us out, dear Yalabat people.
Put your money where
which
your
is
mouth
what?
is.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess put your money. I guess that's never mind. What are we talking about? We're talking
about the one way you can support us for free, completely free on your site. The only thing it might cost is your time. That's all, right? And this is it's a very important big step for us going forward because as you all know, we are one of the first to start doing these kind of podcasts in Singapore. And we want the ecosystem to keep growing. So it was fantastic when earlier this year we were selected as one of 10 finalists by Amazon Audible to create a podcast pilot for a series, a whole series of podcasts. And these aren't just like regular podcasts where Harish and I are talking. These are narrative, like fiction podcasts where we wrote a story, Harish wrote a script, and then we worked with one of the writers from She's a Terrorist, and we came up with a story that, and we got a whole bunch of voice actors to come in, fantastic voice actors. And the pilot, when is the pilot coming out, Harish?
The pilot came out 2 days ago on 20th May. Yeah, 20th May. So it's if you're kind of wondering what is a scripted audio pilot, you imagine like a Netflix show, a 30-minute Netflix show, except there's no visuals. It is only told through audio. And it's not conversation or anything. We scripted it. We got a sound designer. We got sound effects. We got music. We turned our office into a studio. And it is available on Audible now. It is called Life Exchange. And the format of this competition is there are 10 finalists. And Audible will commission maybe one, maybe two, maybe a handful to be turned into a full series. And it depends on how many people listen to the pilots that are out there, how many people leave comments, how many people leave ratings. So now is the time for you to stand up and show your fucking love, man.
Yeah. And part of the reason why we come to you guys as the base is not just because we know you like this podcast, but it's because in Singapore you guys are the early adopters in terms of podcasts already. In the sense that you all have been listening to us since the days when the top 10 in Singapore was all foreign podcasts or, foreign podcasts or not even English podcasts or so, right? But now it seems there's a lot more support for local and locally produced podcasts. So we feel that you guys are the audience that to transition from, just listening to podcasts to maybe trying out a narrative series as well, which some of which that we've heard from the US are pretty good. Like I think you've recommended before. What was the one that you recommended? Homecoming.
It was a one shock thing before.
Yeah.
And I think there was a time when we were doing research on writing the story.
That's right.
And now we have our audio pilot, and all you need to do is we're going to put a link in the show notes on our Reddit. You need to sign up for an Audible account. It's if you have an Amazon account, that's fine. It's free. You can listen to it for free. You just need to log in. And like if you enjoy it, if it tickles your fancy in any way, just leave a rating, leave a comment on the Audible page.
Yeah.
And the story is something that Terence and I came up with together with writer Su Yin, and it is set in a not so distant future where humans can sell stocks of themselves on a human stock exchange. So it's not companies selling stocks, human can sell stocks, and it's being trialed in a prison. So like with most things that come out that people are unsure of, they need guinea pigs, so they choose these prisoners, and our protagonist, which is played by yours truly, accepts this offer. So he sells shares of himself to investors who now control his life. And
Yeah.
then soon he realizes that's the most fucked up thing he can do because the financial world is cutthroat.
Yeah.
And it's 30 minutes.
Yeah. And we're very proud because the cast is from different. They're not the usual voice actors that you will find, say, in theatre or whatever. They're from a different range of backgrounds. You know, we have people of all races, from TV, from theatre, from YouTube, everything. So I think you'll have a great time just figuring out who is who.
Yeah, there's Noah Yap, who we have worked with before. There's Joe Tan, there's Adelina, there's Paul Foster, Rishi Budrani, Elliot, Marcus Tan, Ketania. So yeah, we are super fucking proud of it. So it will mean the world to us if you could just check it out, leave a comment, leave a rating, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, man.
Yeah, but
Link in the description.
That said, we shall move on to the first topic of today's podcast, which is what, Harish?
There was this article published by Channel News Asia. It was actually one of those commentary articles, and it was kind of, I think it was written by Session Ramaswamy after discussions with a professor from SMU. And the title is Why Many Retailers Are Calling for a Circuit Breaker. And essentially the whole article is talking about this like maybe there's actually these retailers, both F&B, non-F&B, that are kind of lobbying for circuit breaker. Can you believe it? You know, like everyone would think that circuit breaker is the worst fucking thing for retailers, for brick and mortar stores, but there are groups that are coming together to try and push for circuit breaker, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
But why did you want to talk about it? Because I know that was the article that you suggested.
No, I think, cause I was very shocked a couple of days ago when where did I go? I think I went to IKEA to pick up some furniture and stuff. And yeah, it was just like, it was dead, man. Usually at night, IKEA, like, you know, the restaurant and everything is packed. But now, because the restaurants only take away, right? So, you know, that whole section where people like swarm and eat chicken wings and meatballs.
This is which IKEA? Alexandra.
Yeah, it was just empty. So, and it was just like this, you know, a complete loss of that family feel, you know, when you go to IKEA. You know, IKEA, since young, I remember going there and then playing the ball pit in the old IKEA and everything. And I always had this feeling, it's very fun to, you know, play family and everything and go with your family to IKEA, and what if I had this bed in my room and stuff like that, to think of these things. So it was just a very different vibe. It was almost like, oh shit, it's compared to circuit breaker when you already, in your mind, you knew that everything is shut down, you know. Whereas this one was like, I went there and you felt almost like, wow, it's like sad, not only for people in general, but even just the people working there, like what was the point of coming to work, you know, there's like nobody at all. And just seeing that, then I realized like, it's such a big deal when you can't actually dine out and you know, you can't plan your day around, after walking around for 2 hours, then you just sit down somewhere and have a meal. You can't do that already, right? So it's so people just don't go out at all, I guess. And it's probably, I realized, oh shit, this is probably hurting retailers a lot more than we think, like what you said. You think that just being able to keep open is good, but no, I don't think it is. And that's why I thought this a bit more official call for the circuit breaker was this explains why it's happening, But what about you? What do you think about it when you saw the article?
I mean, I think just from the title, I think it put into words something that I was feeling also like last 2 weeks, and I would go so far as to say that I think a lot of people are feeling, because the general sentiment you saw online was that, okay, people are confused. What is this phase 2 heightened alert, right?
Yes, P2HA.
What is this phase 2? P2HA, Petuha. Petuha. Yeah, this whole Petuha thing, like it's almost like, what is it not? And I think in some way, if you look at the surface, like you just take it in first impression, it's like, okay, like it's not as bad as circuit breaker. But like you, I've also had a few experiences in the past few days. I think most specifically like today, when I also had to go to the CBD to pick up something, and CBD is normally dead on weekends, right? But even on the way there, past Bugis and all, to see it like deserted. And the thing that always breaks my heart is when you go past an F&B retailer and you see like the chairs turned upside down or just the chairs totally removed, and I'm like, oh fuck, and it's still open lah. And I think that's what I think a lot of people might be feeling in general. Maybe not. It's one of those like, okay, you know, like when you got like an itch on your back and it's not too bad that you don't need to put cream, but it's not silent enough for you to not notice anything. I think that's the kind of sentiment. And even I think that the thing is, now it feels like, you know, when you open up Netflix or when you go to a hawker center, you have so many choices, you don't know what to eat, you don't know what to watch, right? I think that can be very emotionally straining and draining. And I think right now for businesses, being in this little fucking limbo, right, it's actually making things harder. And I think we can speak from experience. Yesterday we were doing a recce for a shoot.
Yeah.
And we found out that later on in the day that the event that we're doing, the shoot where the video was going to be launched, has been pushed back. So then the planning we had been doing for the past week kind of went, like, not say wasted, but
no, but it makes you,
we were rushing.
It makes you second guess. Should you be rushing this period because you don't know what might change and stuff like that, right? So do you invest more time, or do you rush and try and get it done? Then after that, oh shit, the event is not happening anymore, or something like that, like, you know. And it just makes things very uncertain.
Yeah, and I think the deliberating of that, like, you and I had a few phone calls about that.
Yeah.
You know, we were liaising with the cast to arrange it next Tuesday, and then now when we decided, okay, we can't go ahead with the shoot, we had to liaise with them to not go with the shoot. But if we wanted to go with the shoot, we could.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, should we not? And yeah, so that's when I saw this article. I was like, hey, shit, actually, this is a sentiment that I think a certain sectors are definitely feeling. Like even my girlfriend, she's in the fitness industry, right?
Yeah.
And her studio, should they go online? Should they not go online? Should they have outdoor classes? Should they not have outdoor classes? So that's where I think it's confusing. I don't know whether everybody feels that way.
Yeah. No, but beyond confusing also, I think part of it is that if there is a definite circuit breaker called for, right, then it means that like everyone shuts down, and then it also gives all these retailers the right to go to their landlord and say, hey, you know, look, our government, the government closed down the economy, so our business, we just can't run it lah. So do you mind like giving us this month off or something like that, like, you know, a discount on this month's rent? Whereas now it's almost like, oh, you don't want to open, you don't open lah, but it's your choice lah, you know. And if you don't want to open and try in different ways to make money, then too bad lah, you still got to pay the rent, you know. So this is where, I mean, as much as we can say it's free market economics and everything, capitalism, right? That's how it works, demand and supply. But the truth is, when the rules are changing so fast, it takes time for businesses to adjust to these rules as well. And the fact is that this Patuha is only lasting. See, the P2HA is I think it's our new sugar daddy hang already.
Patuha.
Yeah, this Patuha is only lasting until 13th June, you know. So it's almost like should we just grind it out and just wait for, like, you know, the whole thing to blow over, or is it going to get worse after that, or what lah, right? So it's just this very uncertain thing, and it gives people less bargaining power, and not just companies, but even employees as well, lah, right? You know, about working from home and stuff like that also, lah, right?
I think like that's actually a totally a perspective that I totally did not appreciate until I read this article and did some digging, lah. Because there's the one thing about retailers having a bit more leverage to talk to their landlords, lah. But if you think about freelancers or even small businesses, last year when circuit breaker kicked in, there was a bunch of, you know, the job support scheme. There was the SIRS, which is the self-employed kind of reimbursement kind of thing. I think if we were to go back in circuit breaker, there's almost this expectation that has been set, lah. And for various reasons, I can imagine why the government would feel like, oh fuck, there's going to be a shit ton of like grants again to give. Can we find this middle ground to work through, lah? But it almost feels like this middle ground is something new that we have to adapt to again. And because I was on a set, I was on a shoot when the restrictions were announced, and I mean the set full of actors and freelancers, and everyone was like, fuck, what are you going to do? And like live performers and all that. And last year there was at least some grants you could apply for, you know, like $1,000 a month for 9 months. Now it is this kind of thing which Which, yeah, the more I think about it, the more I realize, like, okay, last year there were already some companies that were thriving and there was everyone else. Now it feels like the companies that were thriving are going to continue to thrive, like the tech companies, the online companies, but the rest are expected to be doing better when it's actually harder.
Correct. Because I think, people were ready for a complete lockdown, right? But we're not so ready when it's half, because again, there's like, we can. So some people are still expected to go to work, and you can go out, but it's got to be only 2 people. But if it's a grandparent taking care of a grandchild, it's okay. But if it's a family, and so there's just a lot of mental gymnastics to go through, and I think everyone's a little bit fatigued from having to do it, lah. So, maybe rather than like create a whole new kind of phase, maybe it really was like about biting the bullet and just saying, hey, we're going back into that lockdown.
Yeah, but then there will definitely be arguments against it, right? Saying, okay, if you go into lockdown, you're not even giving people the chance to find some other way to adapt or do something different. If you can't even leave your house, that is kind of fucked as well, right? So I think that's where it gets tricky. But I think what like I didn't realize before I did the digging is that certain things are what make things difficult. Like there's like just from reading the articles, certain tenants in malls, right? They actually get penalized if they close their shop.
Yeah,
because some of their agreements are not just a flat rental and you do whatever the fuck you want. It's rental plus a share of your profits or revenue, right?
Correct, yeah.
So if you close, which means you are not giving a chance to get revenue or cash, you get penalized. So for them, can you imagine? I think there was an article about a jewelry store that made $2 last weekend or something.
In Vivo
then
City.
you read it, you're like, fuck. And then if you close it down, the tenant will be like, yo, what the fuck, guys? You have to stay open. So that's where I'm like, oh shit, man. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's one. So I totally see the arguments against the circuit breaker also lah, but it's just it's just I guess that it's not really phase 2. It's a phase 2 heightened alert. So it's the in between phases thing that I think everyone's really confused by. Like there was circuit breaker phase 3, phase 2, and I don't know phase 1 or what lah. But then now there's a phase 2 heightened alert, and so it's like it's somewhere between phase 3 and phase 2. But people don't know how to do it.
It's either phase 2 plus or phase 3 light lah.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So maybe the one thing, because I think in the previous podcast we did talk about how our approach shouldn't be that COVID is going to be eradicated, especially with this new variant, which I just saw is like 50% more contagious.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And there was some, just to digress, there was a Washington Post article that came out about how the title saying Singapore can contain, which I'm like, fuck you all, okay?
Yeah.
You're just blowing up this one thing and saying, even Singapore is no match for the COVID situation, which but then they mentioned that the crux of the article is a whole different thing, but is another one of those articles from the West that I think takes one aspect of Singapore and writes an entire article about it. But there are stats that show that it's 50% more contagious. So maybe what we need to work towards as a country, right, is there's only 2 modes. It's like phase 1 and circuit breaker. The moment circuit breaker, don't even need PM Lee or anyone to come on press conference. Like the army mobilization, it just blinks on TV.
Yeah.
You have 12 hours before it's circuit breaker.
Yeah.
Then all the businesses know that, okay, it's time for circuit breaker mode lah.
Yeah.
Bring on the mask, bring on the face shields, and boom, just switch back, switch back.
Yeah.
That would be like
easier lah. Easier. Right.
Yeah. And I think people then they have 2 modes to shift lah. Just shift back, and maybe that's what we need to work towards lah.
Well, yeah, possibly. Because I think like saying heightened alert already is like, obviously we are on heightened alert already lah. In general, everyone's like getting nervous about the numbers, right? And then it's So it's needless to say we're heightened alert already. But now it's more like, okay, let's like we're trying to take directions from time. And at the end of the day, there will also be people who will breach the rules, completely against the spirit of what this heightened alert thing asks for, right? So, just to eradicate those problems, it's probably better to just be clearer about it, And
No, I tell you, like you know, last time with army, like they were. What's the thing where they come at 3 a.m. and ask you to fall in and
turn out.
put, like open your turn out, turn out. No, I tell you, Singapore, we
COVID
need to
turn
work
out.
towards that. Everybody needs 12 toilet roll packs. Like Maggie
Every
Mee,
day.
and you store
No.
it every day.
I tell you, National Day this year, National Day fun pack. National Day fun pack is your COVID turnout. COVID Petuha fun pack.
Yep, your petuha, yeah. Like you cannot touch it. Anytime, fuck all the safety and distancing ambassadors. They're going to be turned into like sergeant majors. They just walk around HDB, condos and all.
Yeah.
Just knock your door,
Yeah.
turn out.
Turn
5
out.
minutes, show us your petuha pack.
Your toilet roll, your what EasyLink card. No, you're not supposed to
EasyLink.
travel. But yeah, your basic shit you need for COVID lah.
Yeah, sanitizer, gloves, face mask. Yeah, if
That-
you don't have it, right,
Yeah.
you cannot charge.
All that budget for NDP should go towards creating this lah, right?
Yeah, everyone should have it.
I think
So when we
half the male population is used to this already. We all pack
exactly.
our field pack and we have it in some cupboard somewhere to just pull out whenever we need also,
I
right?
mean, think about it. We always say like, oh, we go NS train for fuck. We're never going to do. Now is the time.
Now is the
like
time.
all the things we've learned.
Yeah.
Let the Singapore men feel useful from it. Let Singapore men feel NS is useful. Maybe they can even be like camo cream. Red and white camo
Correct,
cream.
correct. Yeah.
You put on.
For morale to entertain the
For
kids.
morale lah.
Yeah.
You turn out. If you don't have, you get charged. So anytime so got case numbers bling on the screen. You got 12 hours, and you go into CB.
No,
CB
actually,
mode.
yeah, I saw even like the home-based learning when it was announced that it was starting. There were posts going around from parents to other parents about games you can play to engage your kid during home-based learning period and all that. So it's I think people are coming up with their own DIY, so-called like emergency protocols. So yeah, why not really train up everyone to really recognize every phase and what they need to do at every phase. I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because even like for my girlfriend's studio, right? For them now, they like they're thinking, okay, outdoor class, and anyone who goes to any gym, any studio, you're probably faced with the thing of your studio might offer outdoor classes, or might just offer live stream. But hey, another studio offers in studio, and then what I've seen is like you can always interpret the rules a bit differently.
Yeah.
So some studios that are maybe not being as responsible as they could be are pushing forward, and the other studios are like, yo, what's going on? And then it causes that sort of tension.
Yeah.
But if there's this CB phase turnout, everybody just boom, immediately switch online.
Can you
or
imagine?
outdoor. So
our Yalabat also lah. The moment
that's
CB
right.
phase, boom, that everyday podcast, everyday 12 noon
everyday
podcast.
From under the bed, take out the home kit for the mics. Pump, 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 mic, camera all on the table.
Yeah. Because I mean, that was something we did during the election, and then it was actually quite I guess quite interesting for everyone also lah, right?
Yeah, maybe that's what every society needs to become, no? Because you think about it, we have bomb shelters, right? And I mean, hopefully there's never a day where we need a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Maybe now we need this like middle thing, like this CB pack lah.
CB pack,
put in a glass case in your house.
Yeah.
You cannot touch it.
Yeah.
You cannot fucking touch it.
Yeah. But
Oh, yeah, NDP fun pack, dude. That'll be amazing if that's the NDP fun pack.
Yeah.
Come on, Singapore.
Yeah, I always feel like we have the best suggestions for what to do with
Yeah.
NB Fun Pack, but nobody's listening to us,
Nobody listens.
unfortunately.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Or nobody in the position of deciding what to give in the NDP fun pack listens lah.
Yeah. But yeah, tough times for retail.
Tough times for retail, man. For retail, I think like anyone who has a physical presence lah, it's fucking tough, man.
But
it's crazy.
But speaking of physical attributes and physical presence and attributes and all, this one is a bit of a hoo-ha that has occurred because someone spoke about someone else's physical attributes. Yes, and what is this hoo-ha that has occurred? That apparently, I mean, it's not huge news, but it is still has fleeted across everyone's radar, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, you probably have very different reactions to it, lah.
Correct.
And the thing we are talking about is a little spat between the former queen of Caldecott Hill, Fann Wong, and David Gan. Actually, it's not between her, it's between David Gan, who's a famous makeup artist in Singapore.
Celeb hair stylist.
Stylist. stylist, and an aesthetic doctor who kind of wrote a blog post about Fann Wong's facial features when she appeared at the Star Awards 2021. Like.
Yeah, his name is Dr. Siu Takwa. And I only just realized that he's the doctor who apparently gave up his practice to start a dog charity, Save Our Street Dogs, SOSD. If you're a dog owner like me, I think definitely you will have heard of them. They do a lot of rescue work with rescue dogs, and I think a lot of adopted dogs come from SOSD as well. I believe my dogs were also my dogs were also my dogs were not trained by SOSD, but I know some people who definitely got the dogs from SOSD lah. So it's been around, and I think they've been doing a lot of good work in terms of dogs lah. But this doctor may have, I don't know whether he took it a step too far, but he wrote about the Fann Wong's use of face fillers, especially with regards to her appearance at the recent MediaCorp Star Awards. And Fann Wong right now is I couldn't believe it, but I looked up. She's 50, man. She's 50 years old, man.
She's 50, yeah.
50, man. Like, yeah, I can still remember like when we were young, like she was like the new darling, the 23-year-old Fann Wong, like who came to usurp Zoe Tay's throne and everything, and like people were like buying the covers of 8 Days because Fann Wong was on it and all the shit like that lah. But now, wow, she's 50 years old, man.
She's like Elizabeth Hurley, J-Lo, Halle Berry, all like you look at them like 50.
Yeah, 50, hard to believe.
50, yeah.
But basically what happened was that I think this Dr. Siu wrote a post about Fann Wong's face fillers, or I think, and he referred to it saying that his customers were all commenting about it and how they were overused, right? She overused face fillers, and David Gan didn't take too kindly to that blog post, and he basically was scolding. He used social media also to scold back this Dr. Siu, saying, what if someone comment about your mother and what your mother's looks and stuff like that, right? And he took it very personally. He said, you don't know Fann Wong and everything. Why would you comment about her like this to promote your business? And then subsequently he came back and said his mother. He made a post.
As in he the doctor, like
the doctor saying that his mother helped him out a lot at the start of his business. Literally, like being a bit of a, I don't know when he mentioned those words, but a bit of a guinea pig for some of his trials with like face fillers and stuff like that also lah. So he, I guess what he was saying is that he respected his mother and there's, I guess there's no need to bring the mother into it. But subsequently about 12 hours ago, I think, came out on the news that now this whole spat has become a legal case between Fann Wong's company, Catwalk Asia or something, is it?
Yeah,
Catwalk Asia and this Dr. Siu. So it's just it seems to be a bit of an ugly spat brewing. But what do you think of it when you first heard of this whole thing going on?
When I first heard of it, I looked at David Gan's post, and he basically, this is what he wrote, like, have you met Fann before? I don't think so, right? Will you ever have a client like Fann? I don't think so either. Was your post written out of spite and jealousy? Only you will know, but please tell your clients, then some Chinese character, publicity is publicity, so don't be a CB and put it on your clients. My Fann is beautiful inside and out, and I feel very motherfucking irritated by your comments. Then I was like, okay, it just feels like a petty spat lah.
Yeah.
And because in the past there have been like spats between like MediaCorp artists and all, and I always wonder why the fuck does mainstream media still cover it? Like someone say this one in a WhatsApp group, then another person say this one, and blah 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 blah, and then like a few articles written about it. I'm like, why the fuck is this the news?
Yeah.
So that was my first thought, that okay lah, this is another one of those things that I really do not care about.
Yeah. But is David Gan trying to bring up something about because essentially you're an aesthetics doctor talking about someone's looks, right? And is that a form of like so-called bullying that we're very aware of right now?
So the tricky thing is that the doctor's article was made unavailable by on 14th May. I think it might be because of Fann Wong's agency lawyers coming after him, right? So So I mean, basically, from what I understand from the coverage of articles, is that the blog post was him giving a doctor's perspective on the fillers. There were several photos of Fann at the event, juxtaposed with with her younger self, and that like that she had looked much better in other photos lah. So in some way, kind of saying she didn't look her best.
But
lah.
that's like, I mean,
Right.
anyone compared to themselves 27 years ago, I mean, definitely there's going to be a huge difference, all right? 27 years is a long time, lah. So like,
But I
is it
think,
fair to be like commenting and comparing between back then and now?
So I don't know whether he was comparing with back then and now. He just said she looked much better in other photos lah. So don't know what those other photos are.
I see.
Right. And the post ended with some beauty advice for Fann and noted that soft tissue fillers are still a potent tool against aging, albeit as many one of the solutions. So it feels like it's hard to give a definite perspective without seeing the article, but just from reading that, I don't see anything wrong.
As commentary lah, you're saying. It's just it's like commenting on a public figure, lah, right?
Yeah.
So
but I don't know. That's my first thought.
Yeah.
Are you gonna shit on my thought?
I mean, no, I'm not gonna shit on it, but I think because he's aesthetics or he's aesthetic doctor lah, right? I don't know, a surgeon or doctor or what. Because you're an aesthetic doctor and you're literally selling a service. And I read out some interviews about him and everything, and I think he said before that what he's trying to do is to help people live more wholesome lives, right? Rather than just about making them look better. Because at the end of the day, how you feel about yourself is a combination of how you look, how you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, and things like that, right? So I felt that in some ways, as the aesthetics doctor, you have to take a bit more care in who you are bitching about or writing something about also lah. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to give people the impression that everything can be solved just purely based on aesthetics also lah. Right? If that's based on what he himself said about being a happy, wholesome person lah. So I actually thought that sounds quite correct. But then I just square that with like that kind of behavior of like writing about someone, talking about their just purely about their facial features and things like that, as opposed to focusing on like what you're saying, like wow, Fann Wong at 50, like she still looks pretty good and healthy and everything, like, right? Maybe some aesthetic enhancements to her face. But in general, I mean, they still look very glamorous and everything, right? So, I mean, of course, you can always nitpick at the negatives of someone, but as opposed to focus on the positive side of things, right? So to me, that's where you could say he was giving commentary, but because he's selling a service related to it as well, and because he is literally a doctor in that field who is qualified to give that kind of advice and all, right? I feel that the kind of power needs to be more carefully wielded lah.
So you think what you're saying is that it carries more weight, is it, his judgment?
Yeah, it carries more weight, and I mean, maybe it is to promote your services and make yourself feel more reliable, but at the same time, maybe focus less on the negative side of things lah, right? Of people's appearances and things like that. Maybe focus on what people did right rather than did wrong lah.
But are you saying that primarily because it is about her looks as opposed to another aspect of her?
Yeah, and I mean, it's very focused on the negative aspect of her looks lah, right? As opposed to the positive side.
I asked that because I mean there are so many people who criticize I mean, let's say you're a coach of a player, right?
Correct.
And you write an article saying this person, her badminton swing or his badminton swing was not the best, blah blah blah, and you give a technical assessment of what they did wrong. Is that worldly different from you for you compared to the looks?
I think it is different compared to the looks, because looks have to do with a lot of we know looks have to do a lot with a lot of people's self-esteem. It can lead to a lot of people feeling bad about how they look, even though they look perfectly fine, lah. And a lot of people have like so-called, what's the term? Dysmorphia, is it? Where they think of their bodies, that they think their bodies look terrible. Actually, they don't look that bad, lah, right? And so it is a sensitive area that affects people's mental health as well, lah. So yeah, I just use the term mental health here.
Because just take for example a few podcasts ago we did about Harsh Dalal, right?
Yeah.
And I do recall the editor of Tech in Asia, Terence Lee, posting on LinkedIn that when they were deciding to break the story or not, they did have a debate about whether or not they should do it, because this guy is after all just 19.
20
but they felt 20 now, but I think 19 like in Forbes 19 or 20 young lah.
Yep.
But they made a decision that he like the loopholes were too big to ignore, and it would be a disservice to the technical space to not break the story lah.
Correct.
But then if you think about it, there are so many instances of people being criticized for things they do that ultimately result in their mental health deteriorating, self-esteem being crushed. So for me, that's why like I can see how looks and the actions of people are different, but if you talk about self-esteem, suicidal thoughts and all, there's also similarities there with things that people hold very closely to themselves, which is their work, their identity, their opinions and all that.
But I mean, I think you what Terence Lee said and what you've raised is a good benchmark, right? Like the damage that not the damage, like does Fann Wong's beauty fillers, does that hinder or hurt the industry, the entertainment industry in any way, lah? In particular.
What you mean you don't aspire to have beauty fillers when you're older, Terence? Are you fucking kidding me?
So yeah, it's a good question to ask yourself, lah. Like if I don't post this thing about Fann Wong, right? Like is it going to be very bad for the entertainment industry, lah? Is something bad going to happen? Whereas for Harsh Dalal, I mean, as much as I was quite adamant that it was not a crime, right? It was not. No one was hurt, but because the industry, we know of so many shady businesses, laundered money or even Ponzi scheme money that goes into startups and things like that, lah. And anytime there's a exchange of a lot of money, there's a lot of scammers out there who try and game the system also, and that breaks down the trust between investors and founders and things like that, lah, right? So I do agree with him that his argument that there is a negative externality to the rest of the industry if they don't go and report this issue, you see. Whereas this one, like whether he commented about Fann Wong's fillers or didn't comment about it also, I think that there would have been zero impact on the industry, lah, bro.
No, like, but if you think about it, and this is quite interesting, because just earlier this week, right, there was a major lawsuit that was won by a breast implant producer, I believe, in France, that they lost, because I think 10 or 20 years ago there was a supplier of silicone implants to a French company, and they put implants in 6,200 women, and they, after investigations, the silicone that was used was very poor grade and had a tendency to break and seep into the skin. So for the past 20 years, there have been 6,200 women who have been dealing with the after effects, and I think the court ruled that the certifying company that certified the silicone implants okay for implantation was wrong. And thankfully these people are getting their compensation now. So with this aesthetic industry, first of all, I don't know when aesthetic doctors stop being called plastic surgeons. Is plastic surgeons controversial?
No, I think
is it not environmentally friendly or something?
No, some doctors don't actually do surgery. Like, they just do like injections, Botox,
fillers,
and stuff like that. I see. So that's like non-invasive.
So it's a smaller arm, lah.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So back to my point. I mean, in some way, as much as you say commenting on whether fillers of Fann Wong are good or bad has no impact, right? But if you think about it, if people see aesthetic fillers as the silver bullet that would cure any aging because it always comes out well, right? In some way, he's pointing out that, okay, they don't always come out well. You know, there's a risk. Whether or not the next sentence is "come to me" and there'll be no risk is a bit salesy, lah. But I think there is some benefit to pointing out stuff like that, lah.
There is a point. There's a good point. I will say that maybe I was thinking of the wrong industry, in the sense that he's not directing that at actors or other people in entertainment. He's directing it more at people who might thinking of using his services, like, or thinking of getting aesthetic medical services, like, right?
Yeah, I think maybe because he's a doctor who sells the service, it can come off as a bit like, okay, what's his real agenda there? Because if it was just someone who's interested in aesthetic surgery, like let's say a DIY makeup artist, or doesn't even provide the service but has dealt with enough celebrities with that sort of aesthetic enhancements, giving his or her opinion, it would come across differently, right?
Yeah. Or maybe the way that he could have done it without like okay, I don't know whether it was still realm office, but maybe not single out one person, and like maybe because I mean it's like those people who comment on what celebrities wear on red carpets and all that, right? Then they go through the good, the bad, and everything, and they talk in general about everyone on the red carpet, lah, right? There's something to say about everyone, and generally we kind of like accept that, okay, that's part of the whole red carpet process, lah. People observe how you conduct yourself, what you're wearing, and things like that, lah. But this one, I guess this one the maybe just was a little bit mean because it seemed to single out one person who's 50 years old already and still seen as a big name in the industry and everything. So that's
since
why
he talked about doing the fillers on his mother, then you're saying he should have wrote an article on his mother, is it?
Yeah, so if you did that, then people be like, whoa, bro, that's so like, why are you going to put your mother into this and all that, lah? So that I didn't really understand his point in that how he responded to that, lah. But okay,
no, I think because David Gan called out, David Gan play mother, so then now he need to play mother back, lah. But he never called out David Gan's mother.
Yeah. Is that probably that kind of like, you called my mother? Is it, you know what my mother sacrificed for me? That kind of thing, that guilt tripping, lah. Which didn't really fly when I read it, lah.
So that's why when you send me the article to talk about, I'm like, Terrence, what the fuck? I don't want to talk about this kind of stupid shit.
I know.
But then when you talked about
you characterized
it
as a quarrel between boomers. And I was like, actually, yeah, that's true. It is.
I literally replied Terrence on WhatsApp. I was like, hey, this is a quarrel between boomers. But then he pointed out that no, there's something interesting about the bullying a celebrity. Is it really bullying or not, lah?
Correct. Yeah. And I mean, Fann Wong she is the biggest, one of the biggest names we have in Chinese media in Singapore.
Oh, you just pissed off a bunch of Zoe Tay fans. You're fucked already, dude.
No, but it's true.
You're gonna get cancelled.
You're
gonna get cancelled.
No. Because of Return of Condor Heroes and the success of like all those serials in China. Like even these days when you go to China, when you tell them you're from Singapore, they'll be like, oh, Fann Wong, Christopher Lee. They remember these names from back then, you see. Whereas like the more recent or the older names, they don't remember as well, you see. Because Singapore, there was a golden age of dramas when Singapore was one of the leaders in the region.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably like peak Singapore
80s,
TV, right?
80s, 90s, yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who maybe not born yet or too young to realize, literally like Fann Wong and Zoe Tay, if they walk on the street, they will get mobbed.
Yeah,
right?
Fann Wong was in the movie with Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan, man. Yeah.
But now even she cannot hold a candle to Henry Golding.
I mean, cannot lah. Henry Golding is a...
But I think if they both of them walk down on the street, who you think will get mobbed more?
Henry Golding.
I think all the boomers will go to Fann Wong.
The aunties definitely go to Fann Wong. But everyone,
uncles are go to Fann Wong.
Everyone else will go to Henry Golding lah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, that'll be an interesting fight.
Interesting social experiment.
Social experiment.
But
yes, that brings us
to
that was so out of sync.
Yes, but
it brings us to the show comments of the week.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, and
I definitely have one, and I don't know. I hope it's not the same as yours.
No, it won't be. You
don't think so?
The one comment that I thought was pretty good was someone posted on our subreddit a logical fallacy cheat sheet for the duo. This is from J_Edgar. And if you click through it, it brings you to a very nice poster, animated poster that basically lists down all the possible logical fallacies that come up when you argue with people and what they are called. So, I mean, the standard ones like slippery slope, hasty generalization, or moral equivalence. But they also explain stuff like straw man, ad hominem, post hoc ergo propter hoc, all the fancy ways people say. And I really appreciate it because I think before we did this podcast, a lot of times when I sit down for lunch with Harish, I'm like, this happened to me recently, and I really want to scold the person back, but I don't know how to scold the person, right? Like what is wrong with the argument? And then I wish I had this cheat sheet last time, It would have made it much easier.
So this is like a scene in the movies where like the superhero or like the cop who has like one gun gets like a fucking armory of bazookas and all that. Like you can imagine Terrence loading up. All right, moral equivalence.
I save it as my desktop wallpaper already. So it's like I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know whether the J_Edgar was giving it to us because we've been doing it wrong or because he knows that we appreciate these things or what lah. But yeah, I mean, regardless, I thought it was just very helpful. And that's why I love the community. They also help us grow and help us find cool things like that make life easier for us. Yeah.
Cool. So I want to ask, how come you were so sure your comment, your favorite comment is not going to be my favorite comment? Is it because you knew what my favorite comment was going to be?
I know the kind of shit that you like, and so I'm like, I know it's definitely my favorite comment is definitely not going to be the one that you chose. I'm 100% sure. Yeah.
What was the one someone described as last time? It's like you're the more straight face one. I'm the wacky one.
You're the wacky one. Yeah.
I'm the wacky one,
man.
You
like this kind of shit. Yeah.
And literally, your choice of words also quite apt, because my comment of the week is just a post that turned into somewhat of a tiny thread. But it was a post by Crispy Gauntlet about him or her. No, it's probably a him. Yeah, it's a him. Definitely a him, because it was in relation to my saying on a previous podcast that I'm going to shave my ass hair. I don't. That sounds familiar, but I can't remember exactly when I said it. But it sounds familiar. So in this comment, he goes on to describe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 healthy sized paragraphs about his experience shaving his ass hair on his own and the downsides of it.
This is not his experience. This was a post from 10 years ago on the internet that I have read this before, yeah. So he's reposting something that he read on the internet as advice to you because he thought you want to shave your ass.
Oh shit! I just bamboozled past the second line and like, oh my god, someone is sharing that much because it was so well written in such detail that I thought Crispy Gauntlet shaved the ass.
So guys, lesson here is you got to read past the headline and don't skim the opening paragraph.
Read the sub headline too. Read the sub headline. Yeah. I saw don't say shave your ass hair. I was like, I gotta read the shit. Yeah. Fuck the first three lines.
Yeah, he jumped straight to don't shave your ass hair and then continue reading from there.
No, but in any case, it's an entertaining read because the guy goes into a lot of detail. And someone even pointed out, Neh1024 pointed out that they were pleading with us to not make this the comment of the week just because they had to read through this shit. But I think they meant it in jest because it is really quite an entertaining comment from 10 years ago.
Yeah. I do remember.
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious. Yeah. Oh, you remember reading it?
Yeah, I do. It's quite a famous internet thing. Yeah,
you were patronizing Reddit since then?
No, not Reddit. Just somewhere on the internet. I can't remember, Facebook or whatever. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Well, that's great.
Wow, this is like really a boomer experiencing the internet for the first time.
Yeah, that's
you forwarded this to your WhatsApp groups already,
Oh, lucky you gave me a heads up. Otherwise, I was gonna be like, wow, this person spent this much time to write something for Yalla, but we have such a committed community.
But it's still cool. It's still funny that he resurfaced it.
Thank you for introducing it to me. All right, cool.
And what is your one shook thing of?
My one shock thing for this week is a video that I saw 2 years ago, which for some reason resurfaced on my YouTube feed. But it's fucking amazing. Like, it was a video called Whitmer's Law. Fabio Whitmer. So it is. I think he's a Red Bull athlete, stunt cyclist, like a BMX stunt. He does stunts like, and it's about him going through the streets of Austria, kind of doing crazy stunts in the middle of the street. And there are many videos that kind of try to do this, but I think he's probably one of the best in the world because the production quality is great. Have you seen it?
No.
I think
never.
2 years ago it was going quite viral, but it's an 8-minute video and the music is dope, and he does it in the middle of the street as people are walking by and cars are driving past. And just looking at it, I'm pretty sure the people walking by and the cars driving past are part of the setup, but it's meant to make it look like it's really in the middle of everyday life in the city. He'll be cycling, then there'll be a pothole with 2 construction workers working on it, then he'll somersault over them and then they'll react. But the way it's shot, the production quality is great and it's fucking good. I just love it on so many levels, and yeah, it's the way they produced it also was super cool. And the stunts are insane. The stunts are insane. Yeah, insane.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's a great video.
My one shock thing is just a Netflix series that I'm ready to recommend to the world after binging it. It's called The Serpent. And the crazy thing is that not a lot of people have watched or are going to watch it. I think it was on the Singapore top 10 for a very short 1-2 weeks, but after that it just faded away. And then even Googling and looking at Reddit, all that, there's not a huge amount of discussion going on about it. But it's actually a BBC produced series that is now on Netflix, and it's actually about one of Asia's most notorious serial killers. And the cool thing is that most of it, I think, was shot in Bangkok and India. So they got a bunch of these actors, from the UK and everything. They flew them down to Bangkok and India, and they're playing a very eclectic mix of nationalities, because it's basically tells the story of the bikini killer, which I didn't even know existed before this. In the 70s, there was a half white, half Caucasian, or half Indian, half Vietnamese man who went around befriending a lot of Caucasian backpackers who were traveling around Asia, and he ended up drugging, robbing, and ultimately murdering quite a number of them. And he did it using a lot of his charm. Basically, he was a narcissist who was able to talk to anyone and convince them of a lot of things, that to hang out with him, to party with him, and all this. And so, but I never knew the story was this wild and this crazy, and that eventually it took a Dutch diplomat working in the Dutch embassy to really hunt him down. So the story actually is not only a story of hunting down a serial killer, but a story of a fight against bureaucracy, Because in the diplomat's world, there's a lot of bureaucracy in terms of what you can or cannot do in your host country and stuff like that, So that's what made the show really interesting. I think the acting was pretty good. The casting, I'm not very sure, but the acting was really good. And it's just a very fascinating story. And I'm dying to find people in Singapore who have also watched it and like it, and just talking about it all. Because honestly, even on Reddit, there's not much, man. There's a serpent,
Really,
there's a serpent Netflix group. There's a few hundred people only, and even looking for BTS or what of the shoot and about from the directors or the writers saying anything, there's really not much. Because then I realized it's because probably the BBC as a production, or UK production companies are not as well oiled as Hollywood production companies. They know they need to do the press rounds, the BTS, and all these kind of things to promote the show. Whereas as a BBC show, this one wasn't given that kind of promotion. Yeah, and it's quite interesting because apparently the shoot was disrupted by the pandemic, so they had to stop for 5 months, and then they only completed the shoot in August or September last year, and now it's already on Netflix, and I thought it was amazing.
Oh, I remember I saw the thumbnail and I thought, okay, that looks quite interesting. But yeah, I've never heard anyone else talk about it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
hoping that it's like this show about this half man, half snake guy that kind of like deals with his superpower and all that. I was like, oh shit, that looks cool, man. That looks cool.
Typical Marvel, raised on a diet of Marvel movies. That's what they all think. The serpent only is like must be some
Serpent,
snake
like,
superpower nonsense.
Yeah, kena bitten by a household lizard and then like, hey, fuck, like I can stick to walls or some shit like that.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's true
Actually,
crime.
wait,
It's
why-
true crime. Yeah.
Why did I say lizard? Lizards are not serpents, right?
The reptiles are the reptiles.
The reptiles are the reptile.
So yeah, if you watched it, also please like start a thread or something on our Reddit because I'd love to talk to people about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that brings us to the end of the podcast. And once again, the link to our Audible pilot is in the show fucking notes. Just click on it, log into your Amazon account if you don't have it, sign up for one, listen to it, leave a comment and a rating, and hopefully we can turn that little piece of passion that into a full series.
What's it called again?
Life Exchange.
That's right. Life exchange for life.
Life Exchange for life. Okay, cool.
Cool, man.